What if saving a child's life destroyed yours? Abby Morrison was 8 months pregnant when she dove into that pool. She didn't hesitate. A little girl was drowning, so she jumped in, risked her own baby, performed CPR, brought that child back to life. 4 million people watched the video, called her a hero, an angel, a perfect example of humanity. But they didn't know the truth. That drowning girl, she was 6 years old. Her name was Emma Hart, and her mother was standing right there. Ungrateful, almost hostile, threatening to sue. Emma Hart. That name sounded familiar. Where had Abby heard it before? Then it hit her. Her husband's phone. A calendar notification 6 weeks ago, Tiffany Hart, Saturday night meeting. Wait, that couldn't be right, could it? At the hospital, Abby discovered something that would shatter everything. Her marriage, her future, her entire reality. The little girl she saved, that was her husband's daughter, with his mistress. A secret family he'd been hiding for 7 years. And the viral video that made her a hero? It was about to expose every lie, drain every bank account, and force her to choose between breaking down or fighting back. This is the story of what happened next. When one act of heroism revealed a lifetime of betrayal, when going viral meant losing everything, and when a pregnant woman with nothing left discovered she was stronger than she ever knew. Stay with me, because this story will break your heart, make you furious, and remind you that sometimes the person who needs saving most is yourself. The splash was wrong, too quiet, too final. Abigail Morrison sat poolside at Riverside Community Center on a Tuesday afternoon in late August. The heat pressed down like a blanket, sweat beaded at her temples. Her ankles, swollen from 8 months of pregnancy, hung over the edge of a plastic lounge chair. The baby kicked her ribs, hard. She pressed a hand to her belly and breathed through it. The pool was chaos. Summer camp kids everywhere, screaming, splashing, running despite the lifeguard's whistle. The noise was constant, a wall of sound that made her head throb. But that splash, that one splash, it cut through everything else. Abby's eyes found the deep end. A small blonde girl, maybe 6 years old, sinking, not thrashing, not screaming, just sinking, silent. The way drowning actually looks, nothing like the movies. The lifeguard was turned away, blowing his whistle at boys doing cannonballs in the shallow end. Abby moved without thinking. Her body was slow, heavy. The baby made her awkward, but she was moving, feet hitting the hot concrete, heart pounding. She reached the edge of the pool and dove. The water swallowed her, cold, shocking after the heat. Chlorine burned her eyes. She opened them anyway, found the girl through the blue haze, grabbed her under the arms, kicked, hard. Her massive belly made it difficult, but she kicked. They broke the surface. Abby gasped. The girl didn't. Hands reached down. Someone pulled them both out. Abby landed hard on her side, protected her belly on instinct. Someone was shouting. The lifeguard finally noticed. Abby rolled the girl onto her back, started compressions. 5 years since her CPR certification, but her hands remembered. Press, press, press. The weight of her pregnant belly made it awkward. She shifted, kept going, breathed into the small mouth, watched the chest rise. Press, press, press. The crowd gathered, phones out. Always phones, recording everything. Press, press, press. The girl coughed, vomited pool water, gasped, alive. Abby sat back on her heels, her hands shook. The baby kicked again, harder this time, angry at the stress. She pressed both hands to her belly, breathed. Paramedics appeared. Where had they come from? Someone must have called. They took over, asked the girl questions. She nodded, cried, said her name was Emma. Abby stayed on the concrete. Couldn't stand yet. Her legs felt like water. A paramedic crouched beside her. Young, maybe 25. Kind eyes. You saved her life, Dee said. That was incredible. Abby shook her head. Anyone would have. No, he said. They wouldn't. And you're 8 months pregnant. That dive, that rescue, you're a hero. The word felt too big. She wasn't a hero. She was just a woman who saw a child drowning. What else could she have done? A woman pushed through the crowd, late 20s, beautiful, designer sunglasses perched on her head, expensive workout clothes. She looked frantic, performed frantic. Something about it felt off. Emma! The woman dropped to her knees beside the girl. Oh my God, Emma, I say, baby, are you okay? The paramedic explained what happened. The woman barely glanced at Abby. You moved her? The woman's voice was sharp, accusatory. You shouldn't have moved her. What if she had a spinal injury? I have a lawyer. You know that, right? I have a very good lawyer. The crowd murmured, shocked. Abby blinked. This woman, this mother, was threatening her for saving her daughter's life. The paramedic frowned. Ma'am, your daughter was drowning. This woman saved her. If she hadn't moved her, your daughter would be dead. The woman stood, adjusted her sunglasses. Yes, well, I appreciate the effort, but I need to know your name for my records in case there are complications. Abby's mouth opened, closed. No words came. Another paramedic spoke up. The little girl's name is Emma Hart, and you just saved her life, ma'am. That's all that matters here. Emma Hart. The name hit Abby like a punch. Hart. Where had she heard that name? Her phone. Derek's phone. 6 weeks ago, she'd borrowed it because hers died. A calendar notification popped up. Tiffany Hart, presentation review. But it was a Saturday, at night. She'd asked Derek about it. He said it was a typo. Wrong day. The presentation was actually Friday afternoon. Perfectly innocent. But the name Tiffany Hart, this woman, this mother, her last name was Hart. Abby's hand went to her belly. The baby kicked. Once, twice. Like a warning. The paramedic was asking her questions. Did she feel okay? Any cramping? She should come to the hospital. Get checked out. Stress during pregnancy. Exertion. Better to be safe. She agreed, couldn't think straight. Just nodded. Yes, hospital. Check the baby, make sure everything was okay. But her mind was spinning. Tiffany Hart. Emma Hart. That notification on Derek's phone. The paramedics helped her stand. Her legs wobbled. Someone brought her bag, her phone. She clutched both, followed the paramedics to the ambulance. Behind her, phones were still recording. The video was probably already online. Someone would post it. Everyone posted everything now. She climbed into the ambulance. The doors closed. The siren started. The noise faded. All she could hear was her own heartbeat. And that name. Echoing Tiffany Hart. Emma Hart. Derek's phone, Saturday night, presentation review. The baby kicked again. Abby pressed her hand to her belly. It's okay, she whispered. To the baby, to herself. Everything's okay. But her hands were shaking, and she couldn't stop thinking about that name. The hospital waiting room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Abby sat in a plastic chair that dug into her back. A nurse had taken her vitals 20 minutes ago. Blood pressure elevated. Not dangerous, but concerning. They wanted to monitor her, keep her for observation. Her phone sat in her lap. Lock screen, unlock, look at it. Lock screen, unlock, look at it again. She couldn't decide whether to call Derek. Couldn't decide whether she wanted him to answer. What would she say? I saved a little girl today. Her last name is Hart. Do you know anyone named Hart? No, that sounded crazy. Paranoid. He'd tell her she was being hormonal. Pregnancy brain. He said that a lot lately. Every time she questioned anything. Lock, unlock, lock. A nurse appeared. Older, competent looking. She smiled at Abby. Mrs. Morrison, we have a room ready. Let's get you and baby checked out. Abby followed her through double doors, down a hallway, into a small room. The nurse helped her onto the bed, strapped a monitor around her belly. The baby's heartbeat filled the room immediately. Thump, 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 steady, strong. Unlike Abby's own heart, which felt like it was trying to escape her chest. The nurse took more vitals, blood pressure still elevated. She frowned, but didn't comment. Said a doctor would be in soon. Left Abby alone with the heartbeat monitor. Thump, 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 thump. Abby closed her eyes, tried to breathe, tried to calm down. For the baby. She had to calm down for the baby. That's when she heard the voices, through the thin curtain, next room over, or maybe down the hall. Sound carried strangely in hospitals. A man's voice, familiar, very familiar. I told you to watch her. The voice was tight, angry. One job, Tiff. Watch Emma while I'm in the meeting. Instead, you're shopping, and my daughter almost dies. Derek's voice. Abby's eyes snapped open. Her whole body went cold. Derek was here, at this hospital, right now. A woman's voice responded, young, defensive. Our daughter, Derek. Our daughter. And don't you dare blame me for this. You're the one who said you'd pick her up at noon. You're the one who forgot. I had to bring her to the pool because you didn't show up. Keep your voice down, Derek hissed. Why? Afraid someone will hear? Afraid your wife will find out? Abby's hand moved. She didn't think about it. Just moved. Grabbed the curtain. Ripped it back. Derek stood 10 feet away, still in his work suit, navy blue. The one she'd ironed yesterday morning. A woman stood beside him. Young, beautiful, designer clothes. The same woman from the pool. They both turned, saw Abby. Derek's face went white. Actually white, like all the blood just drained out. Abby, his voice cracked. What are you? Why are you? Abby stood, the monitor around her belly pulled tight, but she didn't care. She walked toward them, each step deliberate, her belly leading the way, 8 months pregnant and walking toward her husband and the woman who'd threatened to sue her. I saved your daughter's life, Abby said. Her voice sounded strange, flat, empty. Your daughter, not ours, yours and hers. The woman's eyes went wide. She looked at Derek, back at Abby, her mouth opened. Oh my God, she said. You're the pregnant woman. The one who… Derek, you said she didn't know. You said… Shut up, Tiffany. Derek's hand shot out, grabbed the woman's arm. Hard. Abby, this isn't… Let me explain. This isn't what it looks like. Your daughter almost drowned, Abby said. You called her your daughter just now. You said my daughter. I can explain. You called her Tiff, like a nickname, like you're close. Ooh, Abby, please. A nurse appeared, different one this time, younger. She looked at Abby, at the monitor still strapped to her belly, at her face. Mrs. Morrison, your blood pressure is spiking. I need you to sit down. For the baby. Abby looked at the nurse, at Derek, at the woman named Tiffany who had Derek's daughter. Derek's 6-year-old daughter who almost drowned while Abby was sitting by that pool. 8 months pregnant with Derek's other child. Get them out, Abby said to the nurse. Both of them. Get them out right now. The nurse looked at Derek, at Tiffany. Her face hardened. You heard her, the nurse said. Out, now, or I'll call security. Derek stepped forward. Abby, you don't understand. Let me explain. This isn't what you think. Out, the nurse repeated. Firmer this time. Security appeared. 2 guards, large men. They escorted Derek and Tiffany away. Derek was talking, explaining. His voice carried down the hallway, excuses that blended into noise. The nurse guided Abby back to the bed, checked the monitor. The baby's heartbeat was faster now. Stressed. I'm not crazy, Abby said. Not to the nurse, to herself out loud. I know what I saw, what I'm seeing. I believe you, the nurse said quietly. She adjusted the monitor. I believe you. Abby lay back on the bed, stared at the ceiling. The fluorescent lights buzzed. The baby's heartbeat filled the room. Thump, 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 thump. Her husband had a daughter, a 6-year-old daughter, with a woman named Tiffany Hart, the woman whose name appeared on Derek's calendar 6 weeks ago, for a Saturday night presentation review that was supposedly a typo. Her water hadn't broken, but everything else had. The nurse brought her water, told her to rest, to breathe, that the doctor would be in soon. Abby closed her eyes, but she couldn't rest, couldn't breathe properly. Because behind her closed eyes, all she could see was Derek's face, the terror, when he saw her. The panic. He hadn't looked surprised to be caught. He'd looked terrified of what would happen next, which meant he'd known all along. This wasn't new, wasn't a mistake. This was something he'd been hiding, something he'd worked to keep secret. A 6-year-old daughter, Emma was 6 years old. Derek had been with Tiffany for at least 7 years, maybe longer. 7 years ago, Abby and Derek were engaged, planning their wedding, picking out flowers and venues and cake flavors. 7 years ago, Derek was getting someone else pregnant. The baby kicked, hard, right under Abby's ribs, like she was trying to break free, like she knew, somehow knew that everything had just changed. Abby's hand went to her phone, still in her pocket. She pulled it out, unlocked it. 23 missed calls, all from Derek. She turned the phone off, couldn't look at it, couldn't hear his voice, couldn't listen to whatever lies he tried to tell. She lay there in that hospital bed with her baby's heartbeat filling the room and finally let herself know the truth she'd been avoiding for months. Her husband had another family, and she'd just saved his daughter's life while he was probably with them, probably choosing them over her. Again. The ceiling lights buzzed, the monitor beeped, and somewhere down the hall someone was crying. Abby closed her eyes and waited for the doctor, for someone to tell her the baby was okay, that she was okay, even though nothing was okay. Nothing would ever be okay again. Abby's phone buzzed like angry wasps trapped in her purse. Once, twice, a dozen times in rapid succession. She sat in Hannah's car. Her younger sister had driven 3 hours after receiving Abby's text. 4 words. Derek has another family. Hannah hadn't asked questions, just dropped everything. Drove, picked Abby up from the hospital at midnight. The doctors cleared her after 6 hours of monitoring. Baby was fine. Heart rate good. No contractions, just stress, just emotional trauma. Just her entire life imploding while 8 months pregnant. You need to see this, Hannah said. Her voice was careful, gentle. The tone people used when delivering bad news. Hannah handed over her phone. The screen glowed in the dark car. A video played. Abby recognized the pool, the angle from someone's phone. Whoever filmed had been standing near the diving board. The video showed everything. Abby diving into the pool, belly first, pulling Emma out, the CPR, the crowd gathering, Emma coughing, coming back to life, Tiffany arriving. Her harsh words barely audible, but the body language clear. Dismissive, ungrateful. The caption read, "Pregnant hero saves ungrateful woman's drowning daughter." This is what humanity looks like. Heart emoji, praying hands emoji, hashtag faith, hashtag heroism, hashtag pregnant in fearless. 4 million views, 8,000 comments, posted 6 hours ago. Hannah scrolled down, showed Abby the comments. That woman who saved the kid is an actual angel. The mother's reaction is disgusting. She should be on her knees thanking her. Anyone else notice the pregnant woman risked her own baby to save that child? That's real love right there. Putting someone else's child above your own safety. Then the comments shifted. Hannah scrolled faster. Wait, that's Tiffany Hart. I know her. She's an executive assistant at Morrison Tech. The pregnant woman is Abigail Morrison. That's Derek Morrison's wife. Holy shit. Derek Morrison is the CEO of Morrison Tech. That's his mistress. No way. Are you serious? Look at the company website. That's definitely Tiffany Hart. She's listed as Derek Morrison's executive assistant. Someone check property records. I bet he bought her a place. Found it. Derek Morrison purchased a condo at Harbor View Residences 2 years ago, 3 blocks from his house with his wife. Guess who's listed on the utility bills? This can't be real. It's real. This man had his pregnant wife and his mistress in the same city, same neighborhood. Abby stopped reading, handed the phone back to Hannah. Her hands were shaking. It gets worse, Hannah said quietly. How can it get worse? Hannah pulled up another screen. Reddit threads, Twitter posts, TikTok videos, all dissecting Abby's life, her marriage, Derek's business. People she'd never met were investigating her husband, exposing his secrets, commenting on her body, her heroism, her pain. Local news had picked it up. Channel 7 ran a segment, "Pregnant Hero Saves Child from Millionaire's Mistress." The story practically wrote itself. Hannah, Abby's voice cracked. Take me to your apartment. I can't go home. I know, Hannah said. Already planned on it. They drove in silence. The city lights blurred past. Abby pressed her forehead against the cool window glass. Her phone continued buzzing. Derek calling, again, again, again. She turned it off. Couldn't listen to his voice. Couldn't hear his lies. They arrived at Hannah's apartment building at 1 in the morning. Hannah parked in the garage, helped Abby out of the car, up the elevator, down the hallway, into the small one-bedroom apartment that smelled like vanilla candles and safety. Abby walked straight to the bathroom, sat in the empty tub, fully clothed, turned on the cold water, let it run over her swollen feet. The bathroom tiles were seafoam green, like her mother's bathroom growing up. Abby used to hide there during her parents' fights, lock the door, sit in the tub, wait for the yelling to stop. She was 32 years old, 8 months pregnant, still hiding in bathrooms. Through the door, she heard Hannah moving around the kitchen, the oven preheating, rage baking. Hannah always baked when she was upset. By morning, there would be 3 dozen cookies and 2 loaves of bread. Abby closed her eyes, let the cold water numb her feet. Tried not to think about Derek, about Tiffany, about Emma. 6 years old. Emma was 6 years old, which meant Derek had been with Tiffany for at least 7 years. They started before Emma was born. Before Derek and Abby got engaged, their entire marriage was built on a lie. Abby opened her eyes, stared at the seafoam tiles, remembered her wedding day, Derek in his tuxedo, smiling, saying his vows, promising to love her, honor her, forsake all others. Had Tiffany been pregnant then? Had Derek stood at that altar knowing he had a child on the way with another woman? Her phone was off, but the questions wouldn't stop. They circled her brain like vultures. She stayed in the tub until the water ran warm, until her feet were pruned, until Hannah knocked on the door and asked if she was okay. "I'm fine," Abby lied. She wasn't fine, wouldn't be fine, but she couldn't say that, couldn't admit it, because admitting it made it real. She climbed out of the tub, dried off with Hannah's towels, changed into borrowed pajamas. They were too small, but she made them work. In the kitchen, Hannah had made tea, set out cookies that were still warm. They sat at the small table. Abby held the mug, didn't drink, just held it, let the warmth seep into her hands. "You should check your bank account," Hannah said. Abby looked up. "Why?" "Because men like Derek, when they get caught, they try to cover their tracks." Abby pulled out her phone, turned it back on. 67 missed calls from Derek, 42 text messages, 3 voicemails from his lawyer. She ignored all of it, opened her banking app, joint savings account, the one with $250,000, money for the baby, for house renovations, for security, for their future. Balance, $473.62. Abby stared at the number, refreshed the page. The number stayed the same. She checked the checking account. $3,000 yesterday, now $112. Investment account, $50,000, liquidated last week, gone. The only account still intact was her personal checking, the one from before the marriage, the one she'd kept separate, $7,000. That was it. That was all she had. Hannah leaned over, saw the screen, said a word that would make their mother faint. "He took it all," Abby said. Her voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. "Every account we shared, he drained them." "We're calling a lawyer," Hannah said, "first thing tomorrow." "With what money?" "With your $7,000, with credit cards, with whatever it takes." "Abby, he can't do this. You're 8 months pregnant. He can't just take everything and leave you with nothing." But he had. Derek had done exactly that. Abby set down her phone, picked up a cookie, bit into it, tasted nothing, chewed mechanically, swallowed. "There's more," Hannah said. She pulled up her own phone, showed Abby a Facebook post. Tiffany Hart's profile, public. Easy to find, a photo from 3 weeks ago. Tiffany and Derek at a fancy restaurant. She was wearing a red dress, smiling. Derek had his arm around her. They looked happy, in love. The caption, "Celebrating 7 incredible years with my love." Heart emoji. Derek Morrison tagged. 7 years, not 6, 7. The affair started 7 years ago, before Emma was born, before the engagement, while Abby and Derek were dating, while she thought they were building a future together. Emma wasn't a mistake. She wasn't an affair baby that complicated things. She was proof that Derek had been living a double life for their entire relationship. Abby stood, walked to the kitchen sink, gripped the edge, breathed. The baby kicked, hard, right under her ribs. like she was angry too. I gave up my job for him, Abby said. Not to Hannah, to the sink, to herself. I was director at that nonprofit. I loved that job. But Derek said he needed me. His business was taking off. He needed a partner who could be flexible, who could host dinners and attend events and support him full time. Hannah came to stand beside her, put a hand on Abby's back. I trusted him, Abby continued. I gave up my career, my independence, my salary, everything, because he said we were building a life together. He said I could go back to work later, after the baby, after things settled. Later was always just around the corner. He lied to you, Hannah said. He manipulated you. This isn't your fault. I should have known. The signs were there. Late nights, canceled plans, that notification on his phone. I should have looked deeper. Should have questioned more. He gaslit you. Every time you questioned something, what did he say? Abby closed her eyes, remembered. He said I was being hormonal. Pregnancy brain, paranoid. He made me feel crazy for seeing what was right in front of me. Because he wanted you to feel crazy. Because gaslighting works. It's designed to make you doubt yourself. The baby kicked again, softer this time, like she was listening. Abby turned on the faucet, splashed cold water on her face, looked at her reflection in the window above the sink. She looked exhausted, swollen, defeated. But she wasn't defeated. Not yet. Tomorrow we call a lawyer, Abby said. Tonight I'm going to sleep, or try to, and in the morning we start fighting back. Hannah squeezed her shoulder. That's my sister. They cleaned up the kitchen together, put away the cookies, washed the mugs. Hannah made up the couch with blankets and pillows. Abby lay down, stared at the ceiling. The baby settled, quiet for the first time all day. Outside, the city hummed, cars passing, people living their normal lives. Tomorrow she'd figure out how to live hers, how to be 8 months pregnant and starting over, how to be a single mother with no money and no plan. But tonight she just needed to close her eyes, to breathe, to survive 1 more hour, 1 more minute, 1 more second. She closed her eyes. Eventually sleep came, and with it, dreams of drowning. Abby woke at 3 in the morning to the sound of methodical scrubbing. She blinked in the darkness, got her bearings. Hannah's couch, Hannah's apartment, the aftermath. She pushed herself up. Her belly made it difficult. Everything made it difficult now. Walking, sleeping, thinking clearly. 8 months pregnant, and her body felt like a foreign country. The apartment smelled like lemon cleaner. She followed the scent to the kitchen, found Hannah on her hands and knees, scrubbing the grout between tiles with a toothbrush. The spice cabinet stood open. Every jar lined up, alphabetical order. Cinnamon, cumin, garlic powder, paprika. Hannah, Abby said gently. Hannah looked up. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. I can't sleep. Kept thinking about him, about what he did to you, so I'm cleaning. If I stop moving, I'll drive to his house and key his car, which would be satisfying but also illegal. Come sit with me. They moved to the couch, sat in the dim light from the kitchen. The building was quiet, that 3 a.m. silence when the whole world seemed to be holding its breath. You saved a little girl's life yesterday, Hannah said. You risked your own baby, and that's what he was doing, stealing from you, planning his escape, using your goodness against you. Abby's phone buzzed on the coffee table. Derek calling. She turned it back on to check messages. That was a mistake. He'd called 73 times since yesterday afternoon. She let it go to voicemail. Waited. The notification appeared. New voicemail. She played it on speaker. Derek's voice filled the quiet apartment. Abby, please. I know you're angry. I know this looks bad, but if you'll just let me explain, it's not what you think. Tiffany and I, we had a thing. Past tense. Years ago, Emma is my daughter. I can't deny that. But I've been trying to do right by her while protecting you. I didn't want you to get hurt. I was going to tell you. After the baby was born, after things settled, I had a plan. But then this happened, the viral video, everyone digging into our lives. I was trying to protect you from all of this. Please call me back. Let me explain properly. I love you. You and our baby. That's what matters. Please. The voicemail ended. Silence filled the apartment again. Hannah made a noise, half laugh, half sob. He's such a liar. He always was, Abby said quietly. I just didn't want to see it. She scrolled through the other voicemails. They followed a pattern. First, apologetic. Sorry, begging for forgiveness. Then, defensive. This isn't my fault. You're overreacting. Then, angry. Answer your phone. We need to talk like adults. Finally, threatening. My lawyer says any public statements will be defamation. You need to think about the consequences. The text messages were worse. 2 a.m. messages sent when he was probably drunk. Rambling, desperate, cruel. You're making a mistake pushing me away. Think about our baby, our family. Tiffany means nothing. She never did. I'll fight for custody if you force me to. This is pregnancy hormones. You're not thinking clearly. I've talked to my lawyer. You can't take my child from me. Abby set the phone down. He's scared. Good, he should be. No, I mean he's really scared. These messages, they're escalating. He's losing control of the narrative. The viral video, the internet investigation, people finding out about the condo, about Tiffany. He built this perfect image. Successful CEO, devoted husband, and it's crumbling. What are you saying? I'm saying men like Derek, when they lose control, they get dangerous. A knock at the door made them both jump. Hannah checked the peephole, opened the door. Derek stood in the hallway, still wearing yesterday's suit, wrinkled now. His tie was gone, hair messed up. He looked like he hadn't slept. Good. Abby, he said, thank God, I've been calling. We need to talk, please. Hannah blocked the doorway. She doesn't want to talk to you. This is between me and my wife. Move. No. Derek's jaw tightened. He looked past Hannah, made eye contact with Abby. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. 5 minutes to explain. You owe me that. Abby stood, walked to the door. Hannah stepped aside but stayed close, protective. I don't owe you anything, Abby said. But fine, talk. You have 5 minutes. Derek stepped into the apartment, looked around, took in the situation. Abby in borrowed pajamas. Hannah hovering, the evidence of sleeplessness and stress. He sat in the armchair without being invited. Posture shifting to boardroom mode, trying to take control of the room. This is all a misunderstanding, he started. Tiffany and I, yes, we had a relationship, but it ended years ago. She got pregnant. I did the right thing. I supported her. Emma's my daughter. I can't deny that. I pay child support. I see Emma sometimes, but it's not what the internet is making it out to be. 7 years, Abby said. The Facebook post says 7 years. Derek waved a hand, dismissive. She never updated that. It's from when we were together, before I met you, before we got engaged. She just never changed it. Emma is 6 years old. 7 years ago, you and I were engaged. The dates are fuzzy. It ended before the engagement. Technically. Abby, please, I was young. I made a mistake. But I chose you. I married you. We're having a baby together. That's what matters. You and me and our family. What about the money? Hannah interjected. Explain the drained bank accounts. Derek shot her a look. Turned back to Abby. I was protecting our assets, my business. We're having some legal issues. Potential liability. I didn't want our family money at risk, so I moved it. Temporarily. It's safe. I'll put it back. Where is it? Abby asked. In an account. Offshore. Protected. You drained our joint accounts without telling me while I'm 8 months pregnant, and you think that's protecting me? I was going to tell you, but then the video happened. Everything blew up. I didn't have time. Abby sat back down. Her belly felt heavy. The baby was quiet, listening maybe, learning what kind of man her father was. The condo, Abby said. You bought Tiffany a condo 3 blocks from our house. That was an investment property. She lives there, but she pays rent. It's a business arrangement. Her name isn't on the utility bills. Derek's face hardened. You've been investigating me. No, the internet did. 4 million people saw that video. They found everything, the condo, the property records, your lies. It's not a lie if I was protecting you from information that would hurt you. That's gaslighting. That's love. I love you. I was trying to spare you pain. Hannah made a noise. Derek ignored her. Marcus Webb called, Hannah said. Your business partner. He had interesting things to say about your company's finances. Derek went still, actually still, like he'd been frozen. What did Marcus say? That you've been cooking the books, hiding failed investments, lying about quarterly earnings, that the millionaire image is smoke and mirrors, that you're broke and facing fraud charges. Derek stood, fast, angry. Marcus is bitter. We bought him out last year. He's making things up. He has documents, emails, recordings from board meetings. He's lying. Are you? Abby stood too, belly first, faced him. Are you lying about the business? About the money? About Tiffany? About everything? Derek's mask slipped. For just a second, Abby saw the real him, the calculation, the manipulation, the total lack of remorse. Then the mask came back, smooth, practiced. I'm trying to protect our family. That's all I've ever done. But if you want to believe gossip and bitter ex-partners over your own husband, fine, I'll leave. But know this, I'll fight for custody. I'll prove you're unfit. Unstable. Everyone already thinks you're crazy after that stunt at the pool. That stunt saved your daughter's life. And now she's being used against me because you couldn't just accept my help quietly. Abby felt something shift inside her, something cold and sharp and final. Get out. Abby, get out of this apartment. Get away from me. My lawyer will contact yours. Your lawyer with what money? I'll find a way. I always do. That's the difference between us, Derek. I build things. You just take credit for them. Derek stared at her, realizing maybe that she wasn't going to break, wasn't going to beg, wasn't going to believe his lies anymore. He left, slammed the door hard enough that a picture frame fell off the wall. Glass shattered. Hannah locked the door, checked the peephole, made sure he was really gone. Turned back to Abby. You okay? No, but I will be. Abby's phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. This is Tiffany. We need to talk. It's about Derek and Emma, please. Hannah read over her shoulder. It's a trap. Maybe, or maybe she's scared too. You're not seriously considering meeting with her. Abby looked at the message. At the time, 4:30 in the morning. Tiffany was awake, reaching out, terrified enough to contact the wife. If Derek's scared enough to threaten me, Abby said slowly, he's probably threatening her too. And she has a 6-year-old daughter to protect. So do you. You have a baby to protect. I know, which is why I need to know what Tiffany knows, what Derek's hiding, how bad this really is. She typed back, hospital cafeteria, tomorrow night, 2 a.m. The response was immediate. I'll be there. Abby set the phone down, looked at Hannah, at the broken picture frame, at the mess Derek left behind even in his absence. Tomorrow she'd meet the mistress, figure out what game Derek was really playing, start building her case, start fighting back. But right now she needed to rest, to breathe, to hold her belly and tell her baby that everything would be okay, even if she didn't believe it yet. The hospital cafeteria at 2 in the morning existed in a strange twilight. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The smell of burnt coffee and antiseptic hung in the air. 3 nurses sat at a corner table, exhausted from double shifts. A janitor mopped near the entrance. Abby sat at a table near the windows. Outside, the city glowed. Inside, everything felt suspended, like the real world didn't exist here. She was early, on purpose, needed to see Tiffany arrive, needed the advantage of position. Small things mattered when you had no control over anything else. Her phone showed 1:58 a.m. She held a cup of terrible decaf coffee, hadn't drunk any, just needed something to hold, something to occupy her hands. The baby kicked. Regular rhythm now. Abby pressed a hand to her belly. It's okay, she whispered. We're okay. The cafeteria doors opened. Tiffany walked in. She looked different without the designer sunglasses and defensive anger. Smaller somehow, young, So young, only 27, 5 years younger than Abby. Tiffany bought coffee at the machine, didn't drink it either, just needed something to hold, same as Abby. The thought made Abby's chest tight. They both realized they were doing the same thing. Both reached up, pulled at their sleeves, covered their wrists. Protection, comfort, human instinct when feeling vulnerable. Tiffany sat down across from Abby. Neither spoke for a long moment. "Thank you," Tiffany finally said, "for saving Emma. I was horrible to you at the pool. I'm so sorry." Abby said nothing, couldn't find words, didn't trust her voice. "I didn't know you existed," Tiffany continued. Her voice cracked. "Not at first. Derek hired me 7 years ago. I was 20. Just out of college, he was charming, successful, attentive. He told me he was single. By the time I found out about you, I was pregnant." "When did you find out?" "About you?" Emma was 2 months old. I saw a wedding photo in his office, asked about it. He said you were his ex-wife, that the marriage was over, that you were making the divorce difficult. He showed me papers, looked official, made you sound vindictive, made me feel like I was the victim too. Abby's hands tightened around the coffee cup. "When did you know the truth?" "Pieces of it, over time." Tiffany stared at her own cup, couldn't make eye contact. "Emma was 3 when I saw another photo, in his office, you and him, dated after Emma was born. I confronted him. He said you were unstable, that he stayed married for tax reasons, for his business, that he was leaving you soon. Just needed the timing to be right. But he never left. No, there was always a reason, always an excuse. Your mother got sick. His business needed stability. You were trying for a baby. Then you got pregnant. Then it was too late to leave. Then you stayed. I had a 3-year-old daughter. He paid for everything, Mom. The condo, the car, Emma's preschool, everything. And he said if I left, if I told anyone, he'd prove I was an unfit mother. Take Emma away, Wati. I believed him. He's very good at making you believe him." The words hit Abby like physical blows. The same tactics, different woman, same playbook. Derek was predictable in his manipulation. "Why are you telling me this now?" Abby asked. "Because I saw the viral video, the way you didn't hesitate to save Emma. Even though you must have suspected something, even though saving her put your own baby at risk. You did it anyway." Tiffany pulled out her phone, slid it across the table. Text messages between her and Derek. Abby scrolled through them, each one worse than the last. "Keep your mouth shut about everything. If you talk to Abby or anyone else, I'll make sure you lose Emma. I own you, don't forget that. The criminal investigation is your fault. If you'd kept Emma under control, none of this would have happened." The last message was from yesterday. "I'm liquidating everything and leaving the country. You and the kid are on your own. Should have kept your legs closed." Abby set the phone down. Her hands were shaking. "He's running. He has offshore accounts. I've seen the statements. He's been moving money for months. This was planned. The viral video just accelerated his timeline. We were just obstacles. Both of us. Things to clear away before he disappeared." Yes. They sat in silence. 2 women, 2 victims, same man, different lies, same result. "I have evidence," Tiffany said. "Emails, financial records he made me sign, recordings from when he'd come over drunk, bragging about manipulating the board, cheating investors. I recorded him, just in case he tried to take Emma. I needed proof he was unstable, unfit." "Why are you giving this to me?" "Because you saved Emma's life. Because we're both victims of the same liar. Because my daughter deserves better than a father who threatens to take her away as punishment. And you deserve better than a husband who treated you like an ATM." Abby looked at Tiffany, really looked at her, not as the mistress, not as the enemy, as another woman Derek had trapped and manipulated. 20 years old and pregnant, alone, terrified. How different was that from where Abby sat right now, 32 and pregnant, alone, terrified. "If we do this," Abby said slowly, "if we work together, we go all the way, no protecting him, no last-minute guilt. He deserves what's coming." "I know. Emma deserves a father who doesn't weaponize custody. You deserve a husband who doesn't steal your security. We both deserve better." They exchanged phone numbers. lawyer contacts, Tiffany forwarded files, recordings, bank statements, 7 years of evidence in one night. As they stood to leave, Tiffany hesitated. For what it's worth, I think Emma's lucky you were there that day. Not just because you saved her from drowning, but because she got to see what a real strong woman looks like. Abby's throat tightened. She nodded. Couldn't speak. They left the cafeteria separately. Tiffany first, then Abby 5 minutes later. Outside, the sun was starting to rise, pink and gold over the city skyline. Abby stood in the parking garage, one hand on her belly, the other holding her phone with all the evidence. Her lawyer, Patricia Caldwell. Trish. Hannah had found her. A divorce attorney with a reputation for eating men like Derek for breakfast. Abby had an appointment at 9 a.m. 4 hours from now, she drove back to Hannah's apartment. The roads were empty. That pre-dawn quiet. She thought about Tiffany, about Emma, about the baby in her belly, about all the women Derek had hurt in his pursuit of whatever he thought he needed. Power, control, the ability to live multiple lives with no consequences. But consequences were coming. Abby pulled into Hannah's parking garage, turned off the car, sat in the silence. Her phone buzzed. Text from Derek. I know you met with her. Big mistake, Abby. Big mistake. She deleted it, turned off the phone. Upstairs, Hannah was awake. Coffee brewing, breakfast cooking. Rachel had arrived sometime during the night, her best friend since college. She'd driven from 2 states away. They hugged, Abby cried, finally let herself cry, in Rachel's arms, with Hannah hovering, in the safety of people who actually loved her. We're going to destroy him, Rachel said. Not a question, a promise. Yes, Abby agreed, we are. 4 hours later, Abby sat in Patricia Caldwell's office. The lawyer was exactly as advertised. Sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. She reviewed the evidence. The recordings, the bank statements, the text messages from both Derek and Tiffany. This is good, Trish said. This is very good. We can work with this. She outlined the strategy: emergency divorce hearing, injunctive relief, freeze the remaining assets, temporary spousal support, and criminal referral for the fraud. How much do you have? Trish asked. $7,000. That's $6,000 more than most of my clients. Here's the thing, Abigail. You're viral. You're sympathetic. You're 8 months pregnant, and you saved a child while your husband was with his other family. If we play this right, you'll have every women's advocacy group in the state offering support. The door buzzed. Trish's assistant appeared. Miss Caldwell, there's a Constance Morrison here. Says she's the mother-in-law. Needs to see Mrs. Morrison immediately. Abby's stomach dropped. Derek's mother, Old Money, Connecticut, winters in Aspen. Voted least likely to support the betrayed daughter-in-law. Constance Morrison swept in wearing Chanel and Fury. 65 years old. Elegant. Terrifying. Abby braced for attack. I have sat through 4 decades of lunches with women whose husbands embarrassed them, Constance announced without preamble. I will not watch my son become that man. Abigail, I apologize for my son's unconscionable behavior. I've brought you something. She slid a folder across the desk. Financial records, property deeds, emails between Derek and his business partners. My late husband built that company from nothing. I still own 30%. Derek tried to forge my signature on liquidation documents last month. My lawyer caught it. I've been investigating ever since. Abby stared at the folder, at Constance. You're helping me. I'm helping justice. My son is a liar and a thief. He gets that from his father, unfortunately. But I'll be damned if I let him destroy you the way my husband tried to destroy me. Trish smiled, actually smiled. Mrs. Morrison, Sr., welcome to the team. They spent 2 hours going through everything, building the case, planning the emergency hearing. Constance knew things, had access Derek didn't realize she still had. When they finished, Constance insisted on taking Abby to lunch, a quiet French restaurant. They ate soup in near silence. Constance ordered for both of them, knew Abby's pregnancy restrictions better than Abby expected. Finally, my husband cheated, 3 times that I knew about. 4 times I learned later. I stayed. It was different then. Different choices. You have choices I didn't. Use them. I'm scared, Abby admitted. Good. Fear means you're thinking clearly, but don't let it stop you from acting. They finished lunch. Constance paid. Dropped Abby back at Hannah's apartment. Rachel was there, waiting, with a suitcase. I'm staying, Rachel announced. Hannah called. You need someone who'll let you cry and someone who'll make you laugh. Tag team support. That evening, the 3 of them, Abby, Hannah, Rachel, they went through old photos on Abby's phone. Every picture with Derek, finding the lie, business trip to Seattle. Tiffany posted from Seattle that same weekend. Guys golf weekend. Emma's birthday party. Late night at the office. Restaurant check-in with Tiffany. The evidence was always there. Abby just didn't know to look. Didn't know the questions to ask. He was good, Rachel said. He's been doing this a long time. This isn't your fault. I should have seen it. He was designed to be invisible. That's what makes men like him dangerous. They ordered pizza, watched a comedy, pretended to laugh, pretended things were normal, pretended the world wasn't ending. But under it all, Abby felt something new building. Not just anger, not just hurt, something harder. Something that would carry her through what came next. Determination. Derek thought he'd broken her, thought she'd crumble, disappear quietly. He was wrong. The baby kicked. Strong, insistent, alive. Abby pressed her hand to her belly, made a silent promise. To her daughter, to herself, to every woman Derek had ever hurt. This wasn't over. This was just beginning. 3 a.m., Abby woke to wetness. For one heart-stopping moment, she thought her water broke. Too early. The baby wasn't due for 3 more weeks, but it was just sweat and cramping, sharp pains across her belly. She breathed through them, counted like Dr. Mitchell taught her. Irregular, probably Braxton Hicks, probably stress. But they hurt, really hurt. By 5 a.m., they were regular, every 7 minutes. Abby sat up, tried to stand. The room spun. She grabbed the couch arm, steadied herself. Hannah, she called. Her voice cracked. Hannah, I need help. Hannah appeared immediately, took one look at Abby, started grabbing things. Keys, wallet, phone, hospital, now. They made it to the car. Hannah drove fast but careful. The pre-dawn streets were empty. Streetlights blurred past. Abby watched them, counted them, tried to focus on something other than the pain. It's too early, she said. The baby's not ready. The baby's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Just breathe. At the hospital, triage, wheelchair, forms, questions, all of it happened in a blur. Then a room, a bed, monitors, the steady beep of the baby's heartbeat. Strong, constant. Unlike Abby's heart, which felt like it was trying to escape her chest, Dr. Mitchell arrived, examined her, checked the monitors. Her face was calm, professional, but Abby saw the concern. You're having real contractions, Dr. Mitchell said, but your cervix isn't dilated, stress-induced. We're going to stop them if we can. Your baby needs more time. They gave her medications, IV fluids, magnesium sulfate that made her feel hot and strange. The contractions slowed, stopped. The baby's heartbeat remained strong. Dr. Mitchell sat on the edge of the bed. Abby, I need you to hear me. The stress you're under, it's affecting your pregnancy. I know what you're going through is unimaginable, but your baby needs you to find some way to manage this, even temporarily. How? Abby's voice broke. How do I manage learning my entire marriage was fake? That I sacrificed my career, my independence, everything, for a man who had a whole other life. I'm about to be a single mother with no job, no savings, no home. How do I not stress about that? Dr. Mitchell squeezed her hand. By remembering you're not alone, by letting yourself feel what you need to feel, by asking for help when you need it. After Dr. Mitchell left, Abby lay in that hospital bed, alone with the monitors, with the beeping, with the fear, and she broke. Not pretty tears, ugly choking sobs that hurt her ribs. Made her nose run, probably disturbed patients 3 rooms over. But she couldn't stop. She cried for the marriage she thought she had. the partnership that never existed, the future that was built on lies. She cried for her career, the nonprofit director position she left because Derek said he needed her, said they'd have time for her career later. Later never came. She cried for the version of herself who trusted easily, who believed in love, who thought good intentions and hard work guaranteed good outcomes. The worst part isn't that he cheated. It's that he let me believe I was the problem. Every time I felt lonely, he made me feel needy. Every time I questioned him, he made me feel paranoid. I wasn't losing my mind. I was seeing the truth and being told it was crazy. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her look. "This is Tiffany. Turn on the news, Channel 7. Now." Abby grabbed the TV remote, turned on the small screen mounted to the wall, found Channel 7. Derek's face filled the screen. Press conference, expensive suit, lawyers flanking him, crisis PR team in the background. "I want to address the recent viral incident and subsequent rumors about my personal life," Derek said. Calm, collected, lying. "First, I'm immensely grateful to my wife Abigail for her heroic actions saving a child's life. Her bravery doesn't surprise me. It's why I married her." Abby's hands clenched. He was spinning this, making himself the concerned husband. "However," Derek continued, "the stress of this incident has unfortunately triggered a mental health crisis that my wife has been battling throughout her pregnancy. We've been seeking treatment privately, but the viral attention has exacerbated her condition, leading her to make false allegations against me and others. No, 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 no. I ask for privacy as our family navigates this difficult time and focuses on welcoming our child safely." The screen cut to Derek's lawyer. "We'll be pursuing a restraining order for Mr. Morrison's safety and seeking temporary custody arrangements given Mrs. Morrison's current state." The TV went dark. Abby had thrown the remote. It clattered against the wall, fell to the floor. He was calling her crazy, unstable, using her pregnancy against her, making her the villain. Her phone exploded with calls. Hannah, Rachel, Trish, Constance, everyone who'd seen the broadcast. She answered Hannah's call. "Did you see?" "We all saw. Rachel's pulling up now. Trish is already drafting a response." This was a huge mistake on his part. "How is this a mistake? He just told the world I'm mentally ill. And we're about to show the world exactly who he is." Hannah's making a video, timeline of everything, the affair, the fraud, the threats, all of it, with receipts. "I don't want to fight in public. I know. But he made this public. We're just setting the record straight." 2 hours later, Hannah's video went live. She'd worked fast, used all her social media expertise, created a timeline video that was devastating in its simplicity. Split screen, Derek's press conference on one side, facts on the other. "Derek, my wife is experiencing pregnancy-induced psychosis. Facts, screenshot of Tiffany's Facebook. 7 incredible years with my love. Derek, false allegations. Facts, property records showing condo purchase during marriage. Derek, I'm committed to my family. Facts, text messages to Tiffany. I'm liquidating everything and leaving the country." The video included Marcus Webb's statement, Constance's written support, bank records showing asset dissipation, screenshots of Derek's threatening text to Tiffany, all with Tiffany's permission. Overlay text. "When men get caught, they call women crazy." Here's the timeline of the real story. Hannah posted it everywhere. Tagged news outlets, used trending hashtags. Within 3 hours, 2 million views. But it wasn't just views, it was action. Women's advocacy groups reached out. A prominent attorney offered pro bono services. Domestic violence organizations highlighted financial abuse. 3 other women came forward with similar Derek stories. Former employees, a college girlfriend, pattern evidence. Abby's phone rang. Private number. She almost didn't answer, but something told her to. "Mrs. Morrison, this is Vanessa Price. I host a podcast about financial abuse in relationships. Your story, what you're going through. It's exactly what we cover. Would you be willing to share your experience? Help other women recognize the warning signs." Abby looked at the monitor, at her baby's heartbeat. Steady, strong. Yes, she said. I'll do it. They scheduled a video call for the next morning. Abby spent that night in the hospital. They wanted to keep her for observation, make sure the contractions didn't come back. Hannah and Rachel stayed, rotated shifts, one sleeping in the chair, one keeping Abby company, being present. At 8 a.m., Abby did the podcast interview from her hospital bed, but she didn't frame herself as a victim. She framed herself as an educator. I want other women to know what I didn't, she said, looking directly at the camera. Financial abuse is real. It starts small. Suggestions about careers, encouragement to let him handle the finances, isolation disguised as devotion. I didn't see it happening because I loved him. I trusted him. That's not stupidity. That's being human. But I also want women to know it's never too late to fight back. I'm 8 months pregnant, starting over with nothing. And I'm still fighting, not for revenge, for me, for my baby, for every woman who's been told she's crazy when she's actually just seeing the truth. The interview went viral. Not as big as the rescue video, but big enough. Comments flooded in. My ex did the same thing, took me years to rebuild. Currently going through this, her strength gives me hope. This is why we need to teach financial literacy and red flags in schools. Abby read the comments, each one a reminder that she wasn't alone, that her story mattered, that speaking up helped someone somewhere. Our Mitchell cleared her for discharge that afternoon. The contractions hadn't returned. Baby was stable, blood pressure better. She could go home, well, to Hannah's apartment. That was home now, but before she left. A nurse came to her room, the same one from the first night when Derek and Tiffany were there. I saw the video, the nurse said quietly, the timeline one. I want you to know, I believe you. I've seen men like him before, using pregnancy and motherhood as weapons. You're doing the right thing. Keep fighting. Abby nodded, couldn't speak, just nodded. Hannah drove her back to the apartment. The emergency divorce hearing was scheduled for Friday morning, 2 days away. Trish had everything prepared, with Constance's evidence and Marcus's testimony and Tiffany's recordings. They had a case, a strong case, but Abby was exhausted, emotionally drained. She spent that evening on the couch. Rachel made dinner. Hannah handled phone calls. They created a buffer between Abby and the chaos outside. At 10 p.m., Abby's phone buzzed. Text from Derek. This is your last chance. Drop the divorce. Stop the investigation. We can fix this. I'll come home. We'll work it out. But if you go through with the hearing, if you keep pushing, I'll make sure you lose everything. The baby, your reputation, everything. Abby stared at the message, at the threat, at the desperation underneath. She forwarded it to Trish, added it to the evidence file, then blocked Derek's number. She was done listening to his lies, done being manipulated, done being scared. Friday morning, she'd stand in front of a judge, tell her truth, fight for her future, for her baby's future. But tonight, she just needed to rest, to breathe, to hold her belly and feel her daughter kick, to remember why she was doing this, not for revenge, not for money, for something simpler, more profound, for the right to live in truth, to raise her daughter without lies, to build a life based on reality instead of manipulation. The baby kicked, hard, right under her ribs. I know, Abby whispered. I'm scared too, but we're going to be okay. I promise we're going to be okay. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in days, she believed it. Friday morning arrived with golden sunlight. Abby woke before dawn, couldn't sleep. Too much anxiety, too much at stake. She lay on Hannah's couch, one hand on her belly, breathing. The baby was quiet, saving energy maybe, or just listening, learning that today would change everything. Hannah appeared at 6 a.m. with coffee. With decaf for Abby, and a schedule written on a notepad. 7 a.m. shower, 7:30 breakfast, 8, get dressed, 8:30, leave for courthouse. Hearing starts at 9:30, we'll be early. I want you in that courtroom before Derek arrives. Rachel emerged from the bedroom, hair already done. I picked up your dress from the apartment yesterday. Derek wasn't there. Left it with the doorman. Navy blue, professional, maternity cut. You'll look perfect. They moved through the morning like a military operation. Abby showered, let Hannah braid her hair. Rachel made eggs and toast, made sure Abby ate. Protein and carbs, fuel for the battle ahead. At 8 a.m., Abby stood in front of Hannah's mirror. The navy dress fit well, professional but not apologetic. Her belly was obvious, 8 months pregnant and fighting for her future. Let them see it. Let them know what Derek had done to a woman carrying his child. Constance arrived at 8:15 in her car, a Mercedes. Black, elegant. She took one look at Abby and nodded approval. Good, Constance said. You look strong, competent, not a victim, a survivor. That's what the judge needs to see. They drove to the courthouse in convoy. Constance's Mercedes, Hannah's sedan with Rachel, a united front. The courthouse steps were chaos. News vans, protesters with signs. Believe women. Financial abuse is real. Someone had organized a flash mob of pregnant women in solidarity. They stood on one side of the steps, hands on their bellies, silent, powerful. Abby's throat tightened. These women, these strangers, they were here for her, supporting her, believing her. Hannah helped her out of the car. Rachel took her other arm. They walked up those steps together, through the protesters, past the cameras, into the courthouse. Derek arrived 5 minutes later, alone except for his lawyers. No family, no friends, just hired professionals. He looked drawn, cornered, dangerous. When their eyes met across the courthouse lobby, she saw the calculation. The fury barely contained, she looked away. Wouldn't give him the satisfaction of her fear. The courtroom was smaller than Abby expected. Wood paneling, high windows, the seal of the state above the judge's bench. She sat at the plaintiff's table with Trish. Constance sat directly behind her, a physical reminder of support. Derek sat at the defendant's table. His lawyers flanked him. 3 of them, expensive, aggressive. The bailiff called the court to order. Judge Mary Ann Foster entered. A woman in her 50s, no-nonsense expression. She'd seen everything, believed nothing without proof. Derek's lawyer went first, painted a picture of Abby as unstable, manipulative, using a viral video to destroy an innocent man's reputation, claiming the affair was a misunderstanding, that Emma was from before the marriage, that Derek was a devoted husband being crucified by social media. My client is being subjected to a digital witch hunt, Derek's lawyer said, based on edited videos and out-of-context messages. Mrs. Morrison has created a false narrative, using her pregnancy to gain sympathy, when in reality she suffers from mental health issues that have been exacerbated by stress and hormones. Abby's hands clenched under the table. Trish put a hand on her arm. Steady, patient, wait. Then it was Trish's turn. She stood, methodical, precise, presented the evidence piece by piece. Timeline of affair, 7 years, documented with Facebook posts, emails, calendar entries. Emma was born during the marriage, not before. The affair started before the engagement. Property records. Derek purchased the condo 2 years ago, during the marriage, using marital funds. Put it in Tiffany's name to hide assets. Bank records. Systematic draining of joint accounts. $250,000 moved offshore. Investment accounts liquidated. All without Abby's knowledge or consent. Text messages. Derek threatening Tiffany. Threatening to take Emma. Planning to flee the country. Then Marcus Webb appeared via video call, testified about the business fraud, cooked books, hidden losses, inflated valuations, criminal behavior that could result in federal charges. Constance took the stand next, described Derek's attempt to forge her signature, to liquidate company assets she still owned, to steal from his own mother. But the real knockout came when Trish called Tiffany Hart. The courtroom went silent. Tiffany walked to the stand, swore the oath, sat down. She looked terrified, but determined. I was 20 when Derek Morrison hired me, Tiffany said. Her voice shook but held. He was my boss. He pursued me aggressively, told me he was single. When I got pregnant, he told me his ex-wife was dragging out their divorce. By the time I realized he was still very much married, I was trapped. financially dependent with a baby. She described the control, the manipulation, the threats. Exactly what Derek had done to Abby. The same playbook applied to both women. When Emma almost drowned and Abigail saved her, Tiffany continued, I saw what Derek had stolen from both of us. Our dignity, our truth, our power. I'm testifying today because we both deserve better. And so does Emma. Derek's lawyer tried to discredit her, called her a jilted mistress, claimed she was colluding with Abby for revenge. But Trish had recordings, audio files of Derek drunk, bragging about manipulating investors, about hiding money, about planning to disappear, his own voice condemning him. Judge Foster asked Derek if he wanted to testify. His lawyers whispered urgently, advised against it. He declined. Smart. Because any words out of his mouth would be lies. And everyone in that courtroom knew it. Judge Foster called a short recess, reviewed the evidence. 15 minutes that felt like 15 hours. When she returned, her face was granite. Mr. Morrison, Judge Foster said. Her voice cut through the courtroom. In my 23 years on the bench, I've seen many men attempt to weaponize pregnancy and motherhood against women. To claim that a woman who risked her life to save a child is somehow mentally unstable is not just offensive. It's legally and morally bankrupt. Derek's face went white. The evidence presented shows a clear pattern of financial abuse, manipulation, and fraud. I'm granting Mrs. Morrison's petition for emergency relief. All remaining marital assets are frozen pending full investigation. You are ordered to pay temporary spousal support of $15,000 monthly. Restraining order granted. You are to have no contact with Mrs. Morrison except through attorneys. The gavel hadn't fallen yet. Judge Foster wasn't done. Additionally, I'm referring this case to the district attorney's office for criminal investigation. The evidence of fraud and embezzlement warrants prosecution. This court is adjourned. The gavel fell. Final. Absolute. Derek stood. His lawyer scrambled, trying to spin this, to find an angle, but there was no angle, no escape. He'd been destroyed by his own actions, his own words, his own greed. He turned, made eye contact with Abby one last time. She saw it all. The rage, the defeat, the realization that he'd underestimated her. Thought she'd break quietly, disappear. He was wrong. Outside the courthouse, the pregnant women flash mob had multiplied. 20 women became 50. They started singing, Respect by Aretha Franklin. It was absurd, perfect, beautiful. Abby stood on those courthouse steps, one hand on her belly, breathing, really breathing, for the first time in months. Rachel hugged her carefully, mindful of the belly. You did it. We did it, Abby corrected. Reporters shouted questions. Abby ignored them. Trish gave a brief statement. Professional, dignified, highlighting financial abuse, encouraging other women to seek help. They drove back to Hannah's apartment, ordered Thai food, sat in comfortable silence, watched a mindless comedy, didn't discuss Derek or courts or any of it, just existed together, in the aftermath, in the relief. Abby fell asleep on the couch at 8 p.m., feet in Rachel's lap, Hannah covering her with a blanket, safe, finally safe. She dreamed of swimming, of diving deep underwater, of breathing easily in impossible places, of surfacing to sunlight, of being clean, free, whole. When she woke at 3 a.m., the baby was kicking, strong, steady kicks, like applause, like celebration. Abby pressed both hands to her belly, whispered to her daughter, we did it. We fought back. And we won, not with anger, not with revenge, with truth, with dignity, with the help of people who love us. The baby kicked again, agreement maybe, or just restlessness, ready to be born, ready to meet this mother who fought so hard for her future. Soon, Abby promised, soon you'll be here. And when you are, you'll be born into truth, into a life without lies, into the world where your mother chose strength over comfort, chose you over everything. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, Abby felt something new settling into her bones. Not just relief, not just victory, something deeper. Peace, hard won, earned through fire. But peace nonetheless. She closed her eyes, The baby settled, and they both slept, dreamless, safe, free. 3 days later, 3 a.m., Abby woke to wetness, real wetness this time. Her water breaking, soaking through her pajamas, through the sheets, through everything. This was it. This was real. Her first thought wasn't fear. It was, I'm ready. I can do this? She sat up slowly, grabbed her phone, called Hannah. Her sister answered on the first ring. Already awake, like she'd been waiting. It's time, Abby said. I'm getting the car. Don't move. But Abby was already moving, changing clothes, grabbing the hospital bag they'd packed last week, breathing through the first contraction. Not bad yet, just pressure, tightening, the beginning. Hannah appeared, hair in a messy bun, Rachel right behind her. They'd been taking turns sleeping on the couch, making sure Abby wasn't alone. Just in case. This was the in case. They made it to the car, to the hospital, checked in at labor and delivery. The nurses recognized Abby from the previous visit, recognized her from the viral video, from the news coverage. They were gentle, kind, rooting for her. A room, a bed, monitors hooked up. The baby's heartbeat filled the space immediately. Thump, 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 strong, steady, ready. Dr. Mitchell arrived at 6 a.m., checked Abby's progress. 4 centimeters dilated, active labor, moving fast. You've got this, Dr. Mitchell said. Your body knows what to do. Just breathe through it. Labor was long, 16 hours, contractions that built like waves, cresting, breaking, pulling back over and over. Abby breathed through each one. Hannah timed them. Rachel played music from a carefully curated playlist. Soft, encouraging, distracting. Constance arrived at noon, brought ice chips and stern encouragement. You're a Morrison now, she said. We don't quit. At 2 p.m., Derek's lawyer called Trish. Derek had been legally notified of the labor per court requirements. Did he want to be present? The nurse relayed the message. Your husband was notified. He sent a text through his attorney. Let me know outcome. Outcome? Like Abby giving birth was a board meeting, a business transaction, something to be updated on via memo. Abby read the message between contractions, laughed, actually laughed. He has no idea what he's missing, she said. But she wasn't sad about his absence, wasn't disappointed. She was relieved. This moment, this birth, it was hers, her daughters, their people, the family they chose. 7 p.m. transition. The hardest part, contractions on top of each other. No break, no rest. Abby gripped Hannah's hand, breathed, pushed when told, rested when she could. Dr. Mitchell was calm, competent, present. You're almost there, I can see the head. One more big push. 7:43 p.m. Abigail Morrison gave birth to a healthy baby girl. 7 pounds 4 ounces, 20 inches long, perfect. The baby's first cry was sharp, indignant, alive. The most beautiful sound Abby had ever heard. They placed her on Abby's chest immediately. Skin to skin, warm, real. Hers, the weight of her, solid, present, the smell, clean, sweet, impossible to describe. The way her tiny hand gripped Abby's finger with surprising strength. What's her name? The nurse asked. Abby had thought about this, had a name picked out with Derek, his grandmother's name. But that life was gone, that future erased. Grace, Abby said. Grace Eleanor Morrison. Eleanor for her own mother, the woman who taught her to be strong, who showed her that leaving was possible, that starting over was survival. Grace for what this journey taught her. Grace for the undeserved gift of this perfect child. Grace for the ability to forgive herself for not seeing sooner, for trusting too easily, for loving someone who didn't deserve it. Rachel cried. Hannah took 73 photos. Constance held the baby with surprising tenderness. Welcome, Grace, Constance said softly. You have no idea how wanted you are. They stayed 2 days in the hospital. Grace passed all her tests, nursed well, slept in fits and starts. Abby dozed between feedings, exhausted but exhilarated. Her body ached, but it was the good kind of ache. the kind that meant accomplishment, survival, triumph. On the second day, a knock at the door. A nurse poked her head in. "You have visitors, Tiffany Hart and her daughter Emma. They wanted to meet the baby, if that's okay." Abby looked at Grace, sleeping in the hospital bassinet. Tiny, perfect, innocent. "Send them in," Abby said. Tiffany entered carefully, holding Emma's hand. The 6-year-old looked shy, curious. She'd been through so much. This little girl who almost drowned, who unknowingly set everything in motion. "Hi," Emma said quietly. "My mama says you saved my life, and you just had a baby. She's really small." "She is," Abby agreed. "Would you like to come closer and see her?" Emma approached slowly, looked at Grace with wonder. "She's pretty. Is she my sister?" "Kinda." The adults exchanged looks. It was messy, complicated, true. "Kinda," Abby said. "We're going to figure it out as we go, but yes, you're connected. Both of you have the same father, even though he's not very good at being a father." Emma nodded seriously. "Mama says he's mean sometimes, but you're nice. You saved me." "You're welcome." Tiffany handed Abby a card, handmade. Emma wanted to make something for Grace, and for you, to say thank you. Inside was a child's drawing, stick figures. Emma, Tiffany, Abby, and a tiny bundle labeled Grace, all holding hands, rainbow overhead, hearts everywhere. Caption in crayon, "My family." Abby's throat tightened. "This is beautiful, Emma. Thank you." "Can we visit sometimes?" Emma asked. "Can Grace and me play when she's bigger?" Abby looked at Tiffany, saw the same exhaustion, the same determination, the same desire to protect their children from the damage Derek caused. "Yes," Abby said. "When Grace is bigger, you can play. We'll figure out how to be a family. A different kind of family, but family." They stayed for 20 minutes. Emma told stories about school, about her favorite color, about the new goldfish she named Bubbles. Normal kid things, innocent, pure when they left. Abby held Grace closer. This baby would grow up knowing Emma, knowing Tiffany, knowing the complicated truth of her origins. But she'd also know love, know strength. Know that women could choose each other, could build family from broken pieces. The next morning, they went home, to Hannah's apartment for now. Eventually, Abby would get her own place, but not yet, not while healing, not while learning to be a mother. Marcus Webb called that afternoon. The board had voted. Derek was officially removed from the company. Criminal charges filed, assets seized pending trial. But more importantly, the business was being restructured. Marcus wanted to bring Abby on as director of operations when she recovered. "You ran a nonprofit for 7 years," Marcus said. "You know organizational management. You understand people. And frankly, we need someone who actually has ethics, someone who won't steal from the people who trust them." Abby looked at Grace, sleeping in a bassinet next to the couch, her tiny chest rising and falling. Peaceful, safe. "Give me 3 months," Abby said, "to heal, to settle, to learn how to be her mother. Then I'll come back to work, but on my terms, with boundaries, with balance." "Deal," Marcus agreed. 2 weeks later, photos appeared on Abby's phone. Unknown number, she opened them carefully. Derek's arrest, courthouse steps, handcuffs, his face defeated, destroyed, fraud trial date set, civil suits from investors. His empire completely collapsed. A text followed. "This is Tiffany. Emma wanted you to have her drawing. I'm having it framed. Thought you might want a copy of this too. He's finally facing consequences." Abby saved the photos, not to gloat, not to celebrate his downfall, but as evidence, proof that telling the truth mattered, that fighting back worked, that justice was possible. She texted back, "Thank you for everything, for being brave, for choosing us over fear." "Same to you. Grace is lucky to have you as her mother." Abby looked at her daughter, 2 weeks old, already changing, growing, becoming. "I'm the lucky one," Abby whispered. 3 months later, Abby stood at a podium. Women's Advocacy Conference. Panel on financial abuse. The conference center was full. 300 women. all listening, all seeking answers. Hope, validation. Grace was with Hannah in the audience, 3 months old now, sleeping through everything. Her superpower, apparently. Abby adjusted the microphone, looked out at the crowd, saw faces that mirrored her own experience, saw pain, saw strength, saw survival. I saved a little girl from drowning, Abby began. That's the story that went viral. 4 million views, national news coverage, social media debates. But that's not the real story. The real story is what came after. She told them everything. The hospital discovery, the drained accounts, the gaslighting, the public smear campaign, the emergency hearing, the birth, the starting over. Financial abuse is invisible, Abby said. It doesn't leave bruises, doesn't show up in emergency rooms. It's control disguised as love, protection disguised as partnership, isolation disguised as devotion. She described the warning signs, the gradual takeover of finances, the suggestions to quit working, the encouragement to let him handle everything, the way money became a weapon, a leash, a cage. I didn't see it happening because I loved him, Abby continued. I trusted him. That's not stupidity. That's being human. Love makes us vulnerable, makes us want to believe the best in people, especially people we've committed our lives to. A woman in the third row was crying. Abby made eye contact, kept talking. But I also want you to know, it's never too late to fight back. I was 8 months pregnant when my world imploded. 8 months pregnant with no savings, no plan. Starting over felt impossible, but staying felt worse. She talked about the support system, Hannah and Rachel, Constance and Trish, Tiffany, the way women came together, created safety where men had created chaos. The hardest part wasn't leaving, Abby said. It was admitting I deserved better. Somewhere along the way, I'd internalized his narrative, that I was too demanding, too emotional, too much, that I should be grateful he stayed, grateful he provided, grateful for scraps of affection and attention. But I wasn't too much. I was exactly enough, and I deserved a partner who saw that, who valued it, who didn't weaponize my needs against me. The room was silent, 300 women holding their breath, listening, recognizing, remembering. You know what I learned, Abby said? The opposite of love isn't hate, it's clarity. The man I thought I married never existed. He was a performance, a mask, a carefully constructed image designed to get what he wanted. But the woman I became, she was always there. She was just buried under his lies, under my own desire to make it work, under the weight of hoping things would get better. She was waiting for permission to be brave, for permission to trust herself, for permission to demand more than crumbs. Abby paused, looked at Hannah, at Grace sleeping peacefully, at Tiffany sitting 3 rows back with Emma beside her. I'm not going to lie and say it's easy, Abby continued. Starting over is terrifying. Being a single mother is exhausting. Some days I'm so tired I cry while making bottles at 3 a.m. Some days I look at Grace and wonder how I'm going to give her everything she deserves. But then I remember she doesn't need everything. She needs a mother who lives in truth, who models strength, who shows her that women can choose themselves, can rebuild, can thrive. So to anyone listening who's in that dark place, wondering if you can survive, wondering if you're crazy for seeing what you see, wondering if starting over is even possible, Abby's voice strengthened, filled the room. You can, you're not, it is. I'm living proof, Grace is living proof. Every woman in this room who left and survived is living proof. The man who hurt you wants you to think you can't make it without him. Wants you dependent, scared, small, but that's a lie. You were whole before him. You'll be whole after him. It won't be easy. You'll have hard days, moments of doubt, times when you question your decision. That's normal, that's human, that's not failure. But those moments pass, and on the other side is freedom. Real freedom, the kind that comes from knowing your own strength, from trusting your own judgment, from building a life based on truth instead of lies. The room erupted in applause, standing ovation, women crying, hugging each other, finding solidarity in shared pain and shared strength. After the panel, women approached Abby, told their stories, asked for advice, sought reassurance. She gave what she could. Contact information for resources, names of lawyers, encouragement, hope. One woman, maybe 40, said quietly, "I've been with my husband 20 years. I just realized last month. He's been controlling our money the whole time. I don't know how to leave." Abby took her hands. "You start small. Open your own bank account, even if it's just $50. Start building your own credit. Document everything, financial statements, text messages, emails. Build your evidence. Then when you're ready, when you have your plan, you leave." "But what if I can't do it?" "You can. I know you can, because you're already doing the hardest part. You're seeing the truth. You're naming it. That's where freedom starts." The woman nodded, tears streaming. "Thank you." 3 hours later, Abby sat in Hannah's car, Grace in her car seat, sleeping through the journey home like always. Abby felt drained, but fulfilled, like she'd done something important, something necessary. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. She almost deleted it. But curiosity won. "This is Vanessa Price from the podcast. Your talk today was incredible. We've been getting messages all afternoon. Women sharing their stories, saying you gave them courage. I wanted you to know. Your voice matters. Your story is changing lives." Abby saved the message, would read it again later when doubt crept in, when the hard days came, when she needed reminding that leaving Derek was right, that speaking up mattered. They drove home in comfortable silence, Hannah occasionally glancing back at Grace, making sure she was still sleeping, still peaceful, still perfect. At home, Rachel had dinner waiting, pasta and salad, simple, nourishing. They ate together, talked about the conference, about the women who shared their stories, about the power of speaking truth. After dinner, Abby sat in the small nursery corner of Hannah's living room, rocking Grace, singing softly. The baby's eyes were open, deep blue, watching her mother's face, learning, absorbing, growing. "You'll never know the man your father is," Abby whispered. "He gave up that right. But you'll know strong women, brave women, women who chose themselves, who chose us." Grace yawned, tiny, perfect, impossibly small. "You'll know your Aunt Hannah, who opened her home when we had nowhere else. Your Aunt Rachel, who drove 6 hours to be there when we needed her. Your grandmother Constance, who chose justice over family loyalty. And you'll know Tiffany and Emma, your complicated family, the one we built from broken pieces, the one that chose love over bitterness, understanding over judgment." Grace's eyes drifted closed, sleep pulling her under. Safe, warm, loved. Abby kept rocking, kept whispering, making promises, building dreams, creating the future they both deserved. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, Abby felt something she hadn't felt in months, maybe years. Joy, simple, uncomplicated, pure, not just relief, not just survival, but actual joy in this moment, in this baby, this life they were building together. She'd saved a little girl from drowning. That was true, but the real truth, the deeper truth, she'd saved herself. 6 months later, Abby sat in her new apartment, small, affordable, safe. The morning sun filtered through sheer curtains. Grace slept in her crib, 6 months old now, rolling over, babbling, discovering the world one day at a time. Abby's phone buzz, calendar reminder. Meeting at Morrison Tech, her first official day back. Director of operations, the job Marcus offered, the career she was rebuilding, on her terms. She'd spent the last 3 months transitioning, working part-time from home, learning the company, understanding the restructure, building trust with a team that had been burned by Derek's fraud. Today was different. Today she'd go into the office, leave Grace with the nanny they'd hired, a grandmother type named Dorothy who sang lullabies and made homemade baby food. Grace loved her. That made leaving easier. Abby got dressed, professional clothes that actually fit now. Her body was different post-pregnancy, softer, stronger. She'd stopped trying to force it back to what it was. This body grew and birthed a human. It deserved respect, not punishment. At 7 a.m. Dorothy arrived, took Grace with practiced ease. "We'll be fine. You go do your thing. Show them what you're made of." Hannah drove Abby to the office. First day jitters felt surreal. She'd been coming here for years, as Derek's wife, attending company parties, playing supportive spouse, smiling through conversations about business which she wasn't allowed to understand. Now she was walking in as an executive, an equal, someone whose opinion mattered, whose expertise was valued. It felt revolutionary and terrifying in equal measure. Marcus met her in the lobby, gave her a tour like she'd never been there before. Because in a way, she hadn't. Not like this, not as herself. Her office was modest. Corner space with windows, a desk, a computer. Photos of Grace already in frames on the credenza, her nonprofit awards from her previous career, evidence of competence. Proof she wasn't just Derek's ex-wife. She was her own person, with her own skills, her own value. The morning was meetings, introductions, strategy sessions. Abby contributed ideas, asked questions, proved she belonged there, that Marcus hadn't made a mistake, that she could do this. At lunch, she ate at her desk, pumped breast milk in the designated lactation room, checked her phone. Dorothy had sent photos. Grace on a blanket, tummy time, smiling her gummy smile, thriving. At 3 p.m. her phone rang. Trish, the divorce lawyer. They'd become friends over the months. Abby answered on speaker. "Got news," Trish said. "Derek pled guilty, took a deal, 8 years for fraud and embezzlement. He'll serve at least 6 with good behavior." Abby sat back in her chair, processed. 8 years. Grace would be in elementary school when he got out, would barely remember him, might not remember him at all. "How do you feel?" Trish asked. "I don't know, not happy, not sad, just closed, like a chapter ending." "That's healthy. This was never about revenge. It was about consequences. He's facing them. You're moving forward. That's justice." After work, Abby picked up Grace from Dorothy's, held her close, breathed in that baby smell. Impossible to describe, impossible to forget. At home, she made dinner, simple pasta, dull taste now, not the bland sustenance of survival. She was learning to cook again, to enjoy food, to take care of herself because she mattered, not just as a mother, as a person. At 7 p.m., a knock at the door. Tiffany and Emma, scheduled visit. They'd been doing this weekly, building something new, something undefined, complicated family that defied easy labels. Emma ran to Grace's playmat, lay down beside her, made faces. Grace giggled. That perfect baby laugh that sounded like joy incarnate. "She's getting so big," Tiffany said. "And you look good, really good. The job is working out." "It is. It's challenging. But good challenging makes me remember who I was, before Derek, before everything." They ate dinner together, the 4 of them, Abby and Tiffany talking about work, life, challenges of single motherhood. Emma entertaining Grace with peekaboo games, normal, domestic, family. After they left, Abby gave Grace a bath. The evening routine, warm water, baby soap, gentle splashing. Grace loved the water now, no fear, just curiosity, just warm. After the bath, Abby nursed Grace, rocking in the chair they'd bought with Abby's first paycheck. New furniture, new life, new everything. Grace's eyes drifted closed, full, sleepy, safe. Abby put her in the crib, watched her settle, that perfect stillness of sleeping babies. She stood there a long time, just watching, listening to Grace breathe, grateful. Overwhelmed, exhausted, happy. Her phone buzzed, text from Hannah. "How was day 1? "Perfect, hard, good. All of it. Proud of you, sis. Proud of us." Another text, this one from Rachel. Photo of the original viral video, The Rescue. 4 million views had grown to 12 million now. A permanent internet marker of the day everything changed. Rachel's caption, "Remember when you saved a life and accidentally saved your own. Love you." Abby smiled, saved the photo, turned off her phone. She walked to her small balcony, looked out over the city, the lights twinkling, people living their lives, stories intersecting, crises averted, futures built. 6 months ago, she was 8 months pregnant, saving a drowning child, discovering a secret family, losing everything she thought she knew. Now she was 6 months into a new life, a new job, a new understanding of herself. Grace slept safely in the next room. Tiffany and Emma were becoming family. Hannah and Rachel remained constant. Constance called weekly, checked on them both, sent gifts for Grace, proved family could be chosen. Derek was in prison. The company was recovering. The fraud charges were settled. His empire was destroyed by his own actions, his own greed, his own inability to see women as people instead of assets. But that wasn't her story anymore. That was just the chapter that ended, the catastrophe that became catalyst. Her story was this apartment, this baby, this bomb, this life, built from nothing, built on truth, built by her own hands with help from people who loved her. She finally understood the thing she'd been searching for all along. She didn't need saving. She was always her own hero. She just had to decide to show up, had to decide she deserved better, had to decide her daughter deserved better, had to decide that living in truth was worth the cost of comfort. Grace made a sound, half cry, half sigh. Abby went to her, checked. False alarm, still sleeping, just dreaming, baby dreams of milk and warmth and mother's heartbeat. Abby returned to the balcony. The night air was cool. October now. Autumn settling in, a year of changes behind her, a lifetime of possibilities ahead. Her phone buzzed again, unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something told her to look. This is a producer from Good Morning America. We'd love to have you on. Talk about your experience, financial abuse, your advocacy work, your story. Would you be interested? Abby stared at the message. A year ago, 6 months ago, even 3 months ago, she would have said no, would have hidden, would have preferred invisibility to vulnerability. But that woman was gone. The one who made herself small to fit Derek's needs. The one who apologized for taking up space, for having opinions, for wanting more than she was given. This woman, this Abby, she was different, braver, clearer, stronger. Not because trauma made her strong, but because choosing herself made her whole. She typed back, "Yes, I'm interested. Let's talk." She sent it, turned off her phone for real this time, went inside, climbed into bed, set her alarm for 6 a.m. Morning would come early, Grace would wake hungry, work would demand attention, life would continue its relentless forward motion. But tonight she could rest, could close her eyes, could sleep without fear, without lies, without wondering what Derek was hiding. What truth was waiting to destroy her carefully constructed denial? She was free, actually free. The kind of freedom that comes from knowing your own strength, from trusting your own judgment, from building a life on rock instead of sand. Grace stirred in her crib. Abby listened, waited. The baby settled, back to sleep, back to dreams. Abby closed her eyes. The last thought before sleep pulled her under was simple, profound, true. We're going to be okay, not someday, not eventually. Right now, we're already okay. And tomorrow they'd wake up, start again, keep building, keep growing, keep choosing truth over comfort, reality over fantasy, themselves over anyone who demanded they be less. The city hummed outside. The apartment was quiet. Grace slept peacefully. And Abby, for the first time and longer than she could remember, Abby slept too, dreamless, safe, free. Grace is 2 years old now. She's learning to talk, learning to run, learning that her mother is someone who fights, someone who survives, someone who chose truth over comfort. If this story resonated with you, if you saw yourself in Abby's journey, or if you know someone who needs to hear this, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Let me know this story mattered. Drop a comment below. Share your thoughts, your own experiences, your words of encouragement for anyone going through something similar. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we all need reminding that starting over is possible, that we're stronger than we think, that we deserve better than we've been accepting. And if you want more stories like this, stories about real women facing impossible choices and finding their strength, hit that subscribe button. Join our community, because we're building something here, a space where truth matters, where women support women, where survival becomes triumph. Thank you for listening to Abby's story. Thank you for being here. And remember, you're not alone. You never were. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, and never stop fighting for the life you deserve.